Hail to the king, baby.
Howdy, everybody. It's Michael B, and it's Monday. You know what that means. Time for another episode of Chill and Chat with Michael B. I apologize. It was a photo finish to get this show actually up today. I had a work meeting literally that finished like 20 minutes before we went live for this. I had my kid all day, so I struggled to get it up, but I got it up, and I invited a bunch of people. I promised you an all-star cast. And I have one all-star. It's Brooklyn.
Hi. What's
Brooklyn,
up, buddy?
Thank you so much for being here. Everybody else turned down my request. Apparently, nobody loves me. They're not all-stars. That's it. Just me and you. We're the only all-stars. Yeah. So I think people are busy either playing games, doing their own stuff, or watching Monday Night Football, and they're going to miss out because we're going to have a fun conversation tonight, my man. Me and you are jumping in the DeLorean. We're going back in time to the fabled land of 2020 when the arcade landscape was a lot different in the home arcade space. Arcade1Up was king. AtGames was a close second. And of course, a lot of us like me and you love the plucky underdog, the iArcade. So we're going to take a look at those three companies and try to identify maybe what was their big mistake that if we could go back in time, we'd try to correct, or maybe it was multiple mistakes. I especially am so happy that you're here because no one probably loved iArcade as much as you did, Brooklyn. Nobody probably, embodied that spirit of what it was supposed to be, what the community was supposed to be, loved the machine, loved what it was doing more than you. So I can't wait to, kind of throw this around with you and see what we think happened with iArcade. So really, really fun. And this is probably the first time anybody's talked about iArcade in like a year, maybe? I don't know.
I still talk about it every day to myself in the mirror.
Well, that's just sad, Brooklyn. Now I feel bad. Anyways, before we get started, I want to say hello to the people in the chat and give those slackers that aren't here an opportunity to join. Some people are mad at me because of choices I've made in the community, but my choices in the community are to make the community stronger and not weaker. So I will say that. Anyways, John Fritz, thank you very much for being here. Art Vandelay. I heard a rumor that Art Vandelay was an importer-exporter. I don't know if you heard that or not. You a Seinfeld fan?
I am.
Art Vandelay, he was an importer-exporter for Elaine, I do believe. David G. Art, you must be an architect, which was one of his other professions. David Deming's here. They should come out with Street Fighter Pro XL before KI Pro XL. That's his Arcade1Up. I don't know if I agree with you. I think that's a small mistake. I don't know if that's the mistake that really put Arcade1Up in the shape they're in now, but we'll come back to that. Calvin Wong's here. Jason Little Alien, the best moderator in the business. My good man, Jason, thank you so much for being here. Thumper Squid is here, the booty hunter. I know the MILF hunter from back in the day, but I don't know anything about a booty hunter. Steve Sales here. Have you had the opportunity to play golf with Steve?
I haven't yet.
No, Steve is a great guy, great community member. We're actually going to be doing something for Steve in the very near future. I didn't get time to set it up today, but we're going to do something special. Steve has fallen on a little bit of a hard time needs a little bit of help. So stay tuned for more information on that, guys. We're going to do something special for Steve in the very near future. Goofy Foot is here. There's another golf person. And you haven't played Goofy. Have you played golf with Goofy too?
I have. I just haven't played with you guys in a while. I've been so busy playing other games.
Yeah, it's a Rune Factory game that you're streaming. It's going to take you 100 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I just finished Hollow Knight, the first one with all the expansion packs.
Yeah. How long did that take you?
That one took me 67 hours to beat.
Holy shit. How do you have 67 hours?
Hey, Greg has 67 hours and he's not even halfway through the game. So I did better than him. That's all that counts.
Look, it's you, Brooklyn Menace. Brooklyn Menace is here. Jim, the Pacers fan. What? Stereo Brooklyn Menace. There it is. I'm naked. Is that okay? Matt Astor Gaming says, one mistake, deviations from authenticity, all of them. I don't disagree when it comes to Arcade1Up there, Neo. I completely agree. I think we said a lot of Thumper Squid. Garage Gamer, good to see you, my man. Dan Z, Dan in St. Louis, always a pleasure. Who else we got here? Daniel Grayson's here. Mark James. Bill's Retro Gaming Show was invited tonight. Declined, unfortunately. Jason S. Kai Tam is here. We already said Goofy Foot. John McGovern. Stupid Fat Hobbit. Pre-orders for WrestleFest up yet, anyone? Cool Toy said the Amazon page is up, but I don't think the pre-orders go up till October 13th. We'll actually talk about Basic Fun a little bit later, too. JJ is here. B. Kirby, good to see you. The Real Zim, who I mistakenly called Miz the other night. So, Zim, I am so sorry, man. I don't mean to compare you to the Miz. That is not a good comparison at all. Gino, he's built better than the Miz, to tell you the truth. I think he could outlift the Miz. Gino 78235 iffy. I think first time seeing you here. Welcome to the show. Gramps Arcade. Video Game Vegas, always good to see you. Devastator Omega. Your Dad Academy. Now let's do better on elevator action. Oh, he obviously tuned into the gameplay the other night where I absolutely shit the bed in elevator action.
It was embarrassing. I was watching.
It wasn't as bad as Tomb Raider, though. Come on.
Mike, I thought you were going to be like better. You didn't even know how to get into doors.
No, I didn't. Elevator Action Returns. That's the one I played the most. I never played the original Elevator Action all that much.
Elevator Action Returns is
so badass.
Game. It's so good.
So good. MSU Rich is here. Who else we got? Striker Cage. Very good. He says release too many versions of the same game. I might agree with you on that a little bit, my man. Who else we got? Mystery Encoder here. Brooklyn doesn't belong in your stream, Mike. He has games to play for all of us to watch. Yeah, I don't know where you find time to do anything, Brooklyn. Like, you are always playing games. Like, kudos to you. But like, you're playing games in the middle of the day and everything. How do you get away with that?
I own my own business.
there it is. That'll do it.
But that is changing in about a week or so. I'm going to have more of a set schedule, so you're probably not going to see me at 3 a.m.
Oh no.
I'm taking advantage now while I can.
Yeah, good call. I always do that when I get a little bit of time off. Don't always stream though. Sorry, I'm going to deviate a little bit, Brooklyn. Like, I give you a lot of credit because I find sometimes when I'm playing games, like, you can stream it and you're totally fine with it. But I always like get that mix up between I want to enjoy a game and I don't want to be on camera. Like, you find a good in between, and like, you can play games comfortably while still showing them off for people. How do you actually do that? How do you not make it feel like work for yourself?
Because I'm just enjoying the game, and for me, it's just more. I got the TTS on, so I just like it when people pop in and we just have a conversation. You know, I'm more about it's not me on camera like you were doing, because for me, like, if I want to play the game, for me to be on camera, then I got to have the whole lights in my face, and I just want to sit back and enjoy the game and not be sitting in front of a camera. So it's just more about showing off the game in the best possible representation. You know, I stream it at 1080p 60 frames per second, whether it's VR. I've tried up to 4K on the Switch too, but it didn't work that well. I just try to show off the game and hang out and talk with whoever pops in.
We got Meatball Saucy here, our man Meatball. Good to see you, my man. Bobby 1ALU. Thank you so much for being here, Bobby. Gives me a hard time on Super Game Room, dudes, but I appreciate you showing up. Jeremy K, iArcade. I know it's a blast from the past, but that's what we're doing. We're going back in time. Mike Hawkhertz, Russell Baxley. Who else we got here? Did I miss anybody? Theme Park, Tim York, Dr. Torque, the JW. I'm going through these pretty quick, guys. I apologize. Said JJ earlier. 19K Fox, you're supposed to be here, man. I sent you the GIF. Who's coming with me? Come on, man. Pinball Junkies is here. Good to see you. Nooner, always good to see you, my man. And MG is here. He wants you to zoom out a bit. Too much face, he says. Brooklyn?
On me?
Yeah. Can you sit back a bit? No. Now too much body. Now too much body. And Show Gecko's here as well. All right, so we'll get started. Of course, I've sent links out to people. If anybody wants to join, please do, because the more opinions, the more effective this conversation is. But mainly, we're going to be looking at the three main companies, and I think I want to start with iArcade Brooklyn with you here. And I talked to you a little bit about this in the lead up. One of the things that I find so fascinating is when you look back at the way iArcade was built, the games that were going to be coming out for it, the platforms, everything like that, it's so similar to another company both me and you are very fond of called Evercade. But if you look at it, iArcade kind of didn't make it for whatever reason, but Evercade had flourished and really grown. What do you think the big difference between iArcade and Evercade really is, and why is Evercade so much more successful than iArcade ever was?
You are right about that, because when Evercade first popped up, I was like, holy crap, this is every game that's on the iArcade. They were really on a similar platform. Like one didn't really have anything different than the other. Maybe they had some of the earlier Namco cartridges that were like the console base. I think what Evercade did that was so successful was the physical media and having it numbered.
Yeah.
And also, I wasn't as interested in Evercade in their first year, but once they announced the VS, I was all in, being able to put two cartridges in, have it on your TV, because I didn't care much for just having it on the original small handheld being the only way to play. But I'm telling you, I think it's that physical media, just being able to like hold the games in your hand and see the artwork of these classic games and be able to have something like that. And then, like, again, the numbers, man, like the numbers are what get people to buy cartridges that they may not even care to play because they don't want to have that space in their collection.
Yeah. I've got the shelf next to me with all my Evercade carts going across, and I finally filled out the first layer, and I'm up on the second layer now of the shelf. It's wild though. Like I have been a complete collector in the past, but this is one I've let go. Like there's certain games like I know I'm not going to play. I don't need to collect everything, but other people are. They're 100%. Like they'll see something like Roguecraft and they're like, I'm never going to play that game, but I need that cartridge because I need them all.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm never going to play Roguecraft because it's one of the best cartridges they put out recently.
I'm not saying it's not the best. I'm saying for me, I know it's not. I'm going to play.
The game is awesome. It's hard though, but
yeah,
and they disabled all the save states in that game, so there's no way to like try to like be sneaky. You get that one shot, and it's painful when you get far, and then boom, it's over.
I especially agree with the comment that you made about the physical cartridges, because that was one thing that really stuck out to me at a time when so many other companies were moving away from physical media. These guys were embracing it and saying, remember cartridges, remember clamshell, remember that idea of collecting. So I found that really fascinating from somebody that was formerly like a big retro game collector. I thought that was a really smart idea. Again, with the handheld, it was a little bit limited at first because not everybody wants to play, just retro games on a handheld. I thought the VS was a really smart move. It's something I also thought iArcade should have done at a point, come out with some consoleized version of the iArcade to increase the user base. And then, of course, it's continued. They came out with a better handheld that also had tape mode, and then they also came out with the alpha eventually. And like, it seems like they're not done. We may get more stuff in the future as well.
Is my mic too low? Because they're saying it in the chat. Every time I come on your show, my mic's always great on everyone else's show, and then I come here. I didn't touch anything from the last
I intentionally
show.
sabotage you.
Okay.
100%.
I think you do. I could raise it. They're saying
Yeah,
it's too low.
see if you can raise your volume up a little bit. I might just be too
loud
hot.
Is the thing.
No, you can never be too loud.
Check.
Yeah, you're good.
How's that? That better?
Sounds
I
good
don't want
to
to
me.
be like over modulated.
Mike's mic is louder than Brooklyn's. Maybe I need to turn mine down. Maybe that's the right answer. I don't know.
While you're turning your mic down, another thing about Evercade is it's not just a clamshell and open it and then you got the cartridge in there. You get a booklet with, and some people eat that up. They miss that. Like something about every game, like how to play, strategies and things like that. And you don't really see that much anymore in modern games. Like they built all the learning how to play into the opening of the games now. There's no more booklet to teach, and some people miss that. That really goes hand in hand with retro. So it's nice that they do that. They put posters in, they're putting stickers in now and all kinds of little fun things.
Yeah, I love the posters. The posters are what always gets me because so much as the instruction manual, all those other things, but I think that's one of the things that I used to take away, like especially if you buy like an NES game, there'd always be like acclaim posters in there that would show you other upcoming games, or it might just be cool artwork for the game you got. So I love that they do that. That's a really cool touch. Now, moving back to iArcade, I had you on my show a couple times when we were kind of concerned about iArcade, some of us in the community, because we were like, what's happening, right? Like it looked like they were on a downward trajectory. And then unfortunately, they did go out of business. So Brooklyn, like you being a huge fan of iArcade, what's one of the reason that you think iArcade did end up going out of business? And nothing's off limits if you think that it's, I know one group of people thinks that iArcade was intentionally sabotaged by YouTubers, and feel free to say that too. I'm interested in anybody's opinion.
There was definitely a lot of drama around iArcade, and I was in the middle of it. But I think people were asking they wanted new cabinets. When they were getting bigger name titles, people right away were like, put out a cabinet. Now, it's a catch-22 when it comes to iArcade because, okay, we're selling this person the cabinet, but if it's already an iArcade owner and they just want a different cabinet, we're not making money on the games, because when you bought the game, it would go to every cabinet you had. It didn't matter how much because they were all on the same account. So in that aspect, it didn't make a difference. But the cabinets, I think they should have kept putting out more varieties. When you and I were over at iArcade, they had a ton of cabinets that we were all freaking out over, that you never saw like out there, that they never really put out for sale. Maybe they were little like test runs. I also think some of the choices in games that they were doing, like some of the cell phone type games.
Yeah.
We can always go basis. I'm always going to bring that up as an example. It's like, honestly, they could have just, like, some of that stuff, they could have just, no, like, you don't need that on there. Maybe not everybody was into all of the retro games that were on there, but I was enjoying them. I really was. I was finding new stuff. I'm a huge shoot 'em up fan, and that, if you're a shoot 'em up fan, the iArcade was the cabinet to have.
Oh, they had
the biggest
lots of good stuff on there. Toe Plan,
one thing that they had that nobody else had was when these modern retro games would come out, and you were now able to play these games that seemed like they were meant for an arcade cabinet, like Donut Dodo. We were the first ones playing it before anyone even knew what that game was. And we were playing it on an arcade cabinet. So, and that's, if That and those were also the bigger price games, and I really think that they should have focused more into that because that was the one thing that they could do that no other company out there legally, because obviously anyone could, add
Yeah.
games in other methods, but legally purchasing these games, and we were eating them up like Saturn, that twin stick that was like Robotron,
Yeah, they gave that to
Galacticon.
us for free, for God's sakes.
Yeah, why'd they give that one to us for free?
I have no idea.
We would have all bought it.
Yeah.
I really think that at some point, if they weren't going to be able to get the bigger name arcade titles, because they put so much into getting the Sega games that they got, that they really should have focused more on making this thing a modern retro console. And then those games always took a higher price, and then that could have helped finance bigger retro titles in the future.
Okay, Brooklyn, before we get more into this, I do want to bring up, I got a $5 super chat here from our friend, Unacceptable Fringe. Mike is too loud, big mouth. Kidding, great show, guys. Cut Brooklyn some slack. He is very underrated, great guy. I agree with that. So everybody give Brooklyn a break about his mic, okay? I'm probably running hot.
I can adjust it, but
no,
I don't
you're
want to
good.
overmodulate. I can't hear myself.
You're good now. So really quickly, I do want to bring up Brooklyn. I know this is your favorite part. You love the super chat goals. You always have one where you're going to press up if you hit your super chat goal. Yes. So I do have a super chat goal. We have what's called the double down. And tonight we've got a very specific topic. We're already 1 towards 5 of our goal. Tonight's double down, we're going to be looking at what could possibly save some of these companies from the past. But tonight's double down is we're going to take a look at the new companies that haven't even come out yet, talk about what mistakes they have made and how they can course correct and fix what they're doing. So if you guys want to see that, throw out some super chats, and even if we don't get the super chats, we'll probably talk about it anyways.
Yeah, that's actually not what the double down means. What it means is both Michael and I have no pants on, and if we hit the goal, we're both going to stand up simultaneously.
Oh, we're going to be hanging rats. I don't know about that, Brooklyn. I don't know if I got that in me tonight.
100 people pointing and laughing.
Yeah. Now we understand why they have such big vehicles. All right, so back to the chat, and guys, I'm going to be trying to listen to you guys too. I want to throw something out there. I saw Jason mention this in the chat. You just brought it up as well. One of the things that with iArcade, which I would put down as a landmark moment for iArcade that changed the trajectory of the company in many ways, was their partnership with Sega. Now, this has been talked about a lot. They ended up getting, I think it was like 5 or 6 different Sega arcade games, none of the really super high end, but some pretty good games. Like there was like eSWAT. We also got, Space Harrier. I can't remember all of them, but they paid a ton of money for those. We were told $500,000 to get access to that license. So you may think, what does that have to do with it? They came out, they swung and a miss on a big license with games, but that actually had a bit of a butterfly effect, which led into some of the other problems we were talking about. And I will say one of the biggest problems that iArcade had that Evercade hasn't had is competition in the same category. Evercade obviously is still video games, but they're not really running up against arcade. They're not stuck with the same licensing limitations. I will paint a picture here now, and you can tell me if I'm right, if I'm wrong. Shadow Dancer was excellent. Thank you, Stupid Fat Hobbit. That was an excellent game. And if it had Shinobi in the name, even though it was a Shinobi game, I think it would have sold much better. When they did that, they raised the ire of a competitor called Arcade1Up. John D was working there. John D, as we know, doesn't always play fair, plays a little bit below the belt. He is not a good person to play in the sandbox with. I know John D was working hard to get Sega. He was pissed off that iArcade did get Sega. He was also pissed off that they also raised the price to such a astronomical level with Sega. So I think from that point forward, John D behind the scenes played a lot of dirty pool with affecting whether or not iArcade could get certain licenses and could grow. He went out of his way to try to trip them up. I know he was also pissed off about Double Dragon as well, but I think that's one of the landmark moments which then spiraled into some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes. Whether or not people want to admit it, I don't know if John was directly involved, but there were people that were, I don't know what you want to call them, like maybe suck ups to him, that were also then going out of their way to try to make videos and, enact stuff online to sabotage the iArcade. And then John was also working behind the scenes, being very dominant with the licenses and making sure iArcade had a very difficult time getting licenses.
Yeah, I remember once, because I always watch everyone's shows. I remember once he was in the chat room and there was a conversation and he was saying that he was buying all the licenses and they were like, "Are you going to put them out?" And he said, "No."
Yeah.
I don't know if he's just joking around, but I just remember that conversation going on in a chat room during one of the shows.
So I don't know if it was 100% intentional. I think John, whether or not that happened with the Sega stuff, he would have been the same way he was anyways, of trying to get exclusive licensing for Arcade1Up and, cutting anybody out like Taito or Data East that was willing to work with anybody else. But I do know, like, that was one moment that triggered him because they were working so hard to work with Sega. And because of the partnership that iArcade already had with Sega, it raised the prices of Sega willing to do business with Arcade1Up. So I think that kind of led to some of the bullshit that iArcade had to deal with. There was other stuff down the scenes, like, for a fact, one of the games they were working really hard on before the company went out of business was they were trying to get Shredder's Revenge. Like, they were working really hard to get Shredder's Revenge on iArcade. And I know for a fact that they, not legally, were going to toy fairs and showcasing Shredder's Revenge working on the iArcade because they were working for the licenses. John D found out about it, contacted the people that he had, ratted iArcade out, and also contacted iArcade and said, "Stop using it. You have no right to that license. I have that license." So there was a lot of that stuff behind the scenes that I think still spirals from that moment.
Yeah, I think they could have all just played,
Yes.
nice with each other, because iArcade was doing something completely different than Arcade1Up. Arcade1Up, you bought your cabinet, you wanted to have that collection, build like an arcade. iArcade, you had your one, 3/4 scale, and every Friday you were excited for what was going to come out. And that was like the vibe of the iArcade. It
Yeah.
was more always that excitement. You never knew what was going to happen every Friday. Was it going to be good? Was it going to be terrible?
Towards the end, it was often terrible, but for a while there, we got some good shit.
Why, I'm sorry. Escape from Popo?
Oh, Mike? Fucking Escape from Popo. Like, some of the stuff.
I didn't even get that one.
Some of the stuff, I will be very honest, I was hard on iArcade for, and rightfully so. Like, there was a question sometimes whether or not they were putting shovelware on there just to get stuff on there.
Yeah. Well, I used to do a show called the Friday Night Arcade Show, and part of it was every Friday the games came out, except for certain titles, I would purchase them and then we would show them off live. And also, I didn't think iArcade did a great job on their website of showing off their back catalog. And I learned that a lot from doing a show based off the iArcade, because I used to play games and people would be like, "What is that? That game is awesome." I'm like, it's on the iArcade. It's been on there. It was just the way their store was set up. I always felt like they should have done something where the actual cabinet can go into a mode where it would display or advertise games, and they should have had it where you could have bought stuff right off of the cabinet, just have like all of a sudden to see a game, like maybe get a little preview of it and then you could just buy it. But I still don't understand, if you do the math on the games and even how many cabinets were out there, like how are they making money? We were both over at iArcade, so that was a pretty big place, that I'm sure cost a lot per month to be in there. So you have to keep that up. You have to keep up people's salaries, and you're selling games for like $5-6.
Yeah, if you look at the business structure itself, it was very top heavy, where it probably didn't need to be. Did they need all that space they had? I don't think so at all. I think they could have done things a lot smarter. But again, it goes into the question of whether or not Jung was a good businessman. I like Jung, but they got a bunch of money through the Kickstarter, and they did some good things with it. And maybe they did some bad management things as well, which made it very hard to keep the operation running. I mean, it's frustrating. I agree with you there. Really quickly, we got a $5 super chat here from my buddy Jason Little Alien. Always a pleasure to see Brooklyn making the rounds. I support the Menace. I do too, because I asked a bunch of people to come on, and Brooklyn was the only stand-up guy that was willing to do it. So thank you very much, Brooklyn. Yeah. I appreciate it.
It's not because I'm a nice guy. It's because I just sit here all day waiting for anybody.
Just anybody ask me.
I'll come on. I'm all set up and ready to go. Just waiting. Like it's like fishing. Throw the line in, see who bites.
I'm trying to catch up with the chat now, make sure I don't miss anything. What about the gold title? That was one, the gold edition cabs. That was one that for some reason was a huge turning point for a lot of the community. The community got really pissed off. They were like, I feel like everybody should have the same options. Like they made such a stink about the Sinden light gun technology. We only got 2 games by the time the company shut down. Do you think the gold edition was a smart move or a bad move for iArcade?
I love the gold edition.
I did too.
I pre-ordered. I was sitting there. I remember my wife had me out at a bingo thing that night, and I was completely not even paying attention. I was just on my phone waiting for the pre-orders to go live to get the Space Invaders. I thought the gold was great, and what are they supposed to do? Everybody was asking for these upgrades, so they did the best they could to give people what they wanted. Yeah. And then people are pissed off that, well, now we don't have it. It's not like the gold, besides the looks of it, it didn't have much more. It has a better bassy sound to it. And it had the USB ports in the front, which I heard was a last minute decision. It almost didn't even have those USBs in the front, because I think John was always concerned that USB means piracy. Somebody's going to be able to pirate.
But the thing that was funny about that, like if anybody ever reached out to Team Encoder, I mean, they had the iArcade hacked from day one. They just didn't do it because they were trying to be nice. So, I mean, USB, no USB wouldn't really made a difference, to tell you the truth.
Because they kind of do stuff out of the curiosity of being able to do it, not trying to use it for like nefarious purposes. So they were, respectful. But yeah, I'm sure they could have given us every game for free early on.
Yeah, I think Nooner's saying this, and I agree with it too. I wish it was the original design. Another thing that could be pretty critical of iArcade was Jung had plenty of opportunity. People brought questions to him about the design when he was first showcasing it, talked about the shape and stuff like that, how it wasn't a North American shape. It would have been nice if he could have, course corrected a little bit on that and maybe changed kind of the concept and the shape to more of the gold cab from the start, as opposed to just pushing forward with the candy cab style design that he had. But again, I also got the impression it was a passion project for him. So he really wanted the original iArcade to come out just like it was.
I never had any problem with the looks of it. I still have, you can see, the Gen 1 and the gold. Gen 1 is where I play around. The gold, I never touch. I left it stock. Yeah. The only thing I did to the gold is put the new buy stuff monitor in it. Not because my old monitor was crap. And that was the thing. When I was over at iArcade, I did notice something. When you look down the long row of iArcades, there was no consistency to the screens. Some were washed out, some were clear. Fortunately, every screen that I got were crystal clear from all angles. But one day my gold screen went bad. It just started getting green lines all over it. And once Buy Stuff came out with that option, I jumped right on it, and it was really good having the gold back up. Keep it stock. I got pretty much every game that ever came out, and I still enjoy it to this day.
I think with the screen issue, I was the same as you. I never had a problem with the screen. The original iArcade I had, screen was great. I didn't have the washout issues other people were complaining about. My iArcade Gold was great, no issues. But one of the things that we don't realize, like Arcade1Up, you're buying so many of these, right? That's the idea, because it's kind of like collecting and adding these. You're going to notice when there's changes in screen. But if you buy one iArcade or two iArcades, you're probably not going to notice all the different variations that, as they continue to make more, they're going to probably do the same thing Arcade1Up did and said, oh, we got to find different people to supply these screens to us. So they went out and found other manufacturers, and some of the quality was different from time to time. I remember getting calls from people, accusing me of being a shill for iArcade, saying, why don't you mention how bad the screen is? I was like, I can't. Mine's great. I don't know what's happening with yours, but I don't have that issue.
Yeah, I never understood it because I was like, "What are you talking about, washed out?" I'd be like ducking down. I'm like, "It's clear." But
Yeah.
then I started making friends. People watching my show. I started meeting people in person, going to their house. I'm like, "Holy shit, that screen looks like crap." It was you can't even see it from the side, you know. So I guess there was no consistency wherever they were sourcing the screens from. And some
Yeah.
people got the washed out ones.
So, Brooklyn, I'm going to take a stab in the dark because we've been talking about iArcade for a while now. But if I had to really pinpoint exactly where iArcade went sideways, if I could go back in time and change something, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the Sega thing, because I think the Sega thing ties into what I really think the problem was. I think that once they got that initial Kickstarter funding and they had so much money on that initial funding, and then, got good partners and stuff like that, I think there was definitely a little bit of mismanagement of their finance, maybe moving in some directions they probably shouldn't have, taking on a very high overhead, and including, paying out the ass for that Sega license. I think that's really what killed iArcade in the end. It was their financial business sense is really what took them down, not something they offered, not mistakes they made in the game. I think it was just a business mistake really that killed them. If you disagree, you can say it. You can say it's the people
Well,
shitting on them.
obviously, I mean, if the company went out of business, there has to be a business mistake somewhere.
Yeah.
John does like to party. So.
All right, so we'll move on with that. If I have my time back, maybe try to help John out with how he was running the business, running his overhead, maybe some of the operations. That's what I'd do. Because the other thing I would strongly suggest, towards the end, it was really sad, that last stream they did where John was playing with the handheld and he was talking about it was the future because you could just play on your phone. I thought that was a huge mistake. I thought
that was a big mistake.
I thought that handheld was a terrible idea, right?
I think maybe his thought process was, well, they weren't building cabinets for a while, so how could we get these where people can buy the games and we could basically offer it to anybody. Anybody could just download the app and download it. But I'm saying to myself, like, but the whole point is we want to play it on an arcade cabinet. That's what makes it exciting. I would not be as excited to be playing these same games on my little cell phone. So
No.
so I don't know how much money went into, trying to get all that working, but I thought that was a bad idea. And I know that they were being a little secretive about what it was. We were all thinking we were getting a new front end that they were working on for a while, and improvements to the online stuff like that. But no, it wound up being you're going to be able to play the games on your cell phone.
Very sadly in his swan song playing his little cell phone. I feel bad for making fun of it, but it was so sad.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like it wasn't for me, but maybe from a business point of view, it's like, okay, we don't have to put in money to build these cabinets and we can bring more people into the ecosystem that way. But like I said, they're arcade games. You want to play them on an arcade, not your cell phone.
Yeah, and even with some of the other games, like we talked about, like one of the cool things I didn't agree with at first, I was like, who's going to want to play that, what was it, Dead Effect 2? Who's going to want to play that in an arcade game? Arcade cabinet. But as I got the iArcade and I started playing it, that was surprisingly the games I played the most on that. I was playing the wave racing one. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I love that game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. That was one game that played excellent.
Yeah.
Online, like you can get a ton of people in there because that wasn't running on iArcade server. That they were on their own server.
Yeah.
And yeah, that game was awesome.
Riptide, that's the one. Loved Riptide. Beach Buggy was okay, but Riptide was the game I probably put the most time into. Like, even if you could take those games with you, I mean, there's other ways to already do that. Most of these games were already on, like, Steam or something like that. So I don't know. I agree with you. Like, you were losing what made iArcade special moving to that format.
I always thought iArcade was like when it was first coming out. I thought it was a great deal. When people were panning it because at that time, like Arcade1Up, really, you didn't get a lot of titles on it. The most at that time was the Atari 12-in-1, which I had, and that was a shock. Like that, you had 12 games on one cabinet. So when the iArcade came out, and you were getting like Dragon's Lair on it, Space Ace, and a bunch of other games. I thought it was fair, for the price. And it's like, well, people are spending, pretty much the same amount on an Arcade1Up, and that's it. They're stuck with those games. And once you know, the thrill of a new cabinet wears out over time, and you get tired of playing those same games, it doesn't have anything else to offer. It's going to look nice. It's part of your arcade if you putting a bunch of cabinets in there, but I just like the excitement of the new game releases on Friday. It was, to me, still, it was to me, it was I was having the most fun at that time.
Yeah, I love that too. If you remember when the Wii first came out, they always did the Wii new games on a special day. Like it was either a Friday or a Monday. That's what I liked about iArcade. There was something to look forward to every week. Something was coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, back from the dead. 2 videos in the last 2 days.
I know.
Now here joining us, it's B Kong.
Yeah, you put out a call and you were complaining that people weren't responding.
So I'm so disappointed with my friends.
Brooklyn Menace was here representing. What's up? So here I am to hear about the Back to the Future days of what you would do. So we've covered iArcade. Have you done the other ones yet?
No, we're just getting into those now. And we also got a super chat goal to talk about Basic Fun and Iconic Arcade and what they are doing wrong. But you're getting a lot of love in the comments here, man. B, good to see you.
I know. It's the first time you've invited me to on stream in forever, man.
No, I've invited you to stuff. You're just too busy with your afternoon delight and whatnot. Oh, now we can't hear him, and he has no idea.
Oh, sorry, I hit the mute button on my microphone. So, see, I don't even know how to stream anymore. I have to like plug in extra devices and things. Like the last time I live streamed was Mystery Encoder last week, and then the last time I did that was like in May. It's been like months.
By the way, Mystery Encoder was so impressed with you for doing that stream.
Oh, so impressed.
I love these camera upgrade. It was a huge difference over the old camera that you were using.
Ask him where he got it.
Awesome. I know where he got it from. I know where he got it.
I commandeered it from Justin. So yeah, it's Justin's our good friend Justin Console Kits hooked me up with the upgrade. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Justin decided he was going to quit YouTube and then sent B, like, it was almost like, have you ever played Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest? Like all the parts of Dracula you got to go around and find. So B, Justin has these Horcruxes across the Arcade home arcade community. Like he sent 19K Fox's microphone, B his camera. So Justin can never truly die. Got a super chat here from the Cornercade, $1.99. Great panel. Here's to the goal. Thank you very much, Cornercade. Greatly appreciated. We are now at 3 of 5 towards the goal. Thank you very much. And it's a perfect time, B, because we're going to talk about what happened with AtGames. If you could go back in time, what would you do with AtGames to change their trajectory? Now, AtGames still very much alive, still doing some very cool stuff. If you're a pinball fan, they're the best game in town. But it's obviously a very abundant thing right now that AtGames are struggling. They're having some problems. And we know behind the scenes, they've let go a lot of their customer service staff. So there's some questions on whether or not they're doing well or they just changed up their business model. So if you could go back in time, what would you do to kind of course correct AtGames? I know what you're going to say, B. You're going to say they never ever should have got rid of you from their influencer program when you had a freak out during one of the meetings.
Booted out of the AtGames influencer program. But man, I think about all the moments that, they were heading in an interesting direction, but I there was so much vaporware for projects, and I think about the Racecade debacle of them putting that out, and at the time the community was excited for like some sort of like better racing cabinets, and then eventually when we peel back the layer of what it was and kind of what they were doing, it just ended up not panning out. So they would have these ideas that would just be kind of brain scheme, and when I was in an influencer group, they use Skype to be able to communicate. I remember like having a direct line now to message PK, and he would have these like crazy ideas that I'm like, oh, this is kind of where they get a lot of like their direction is from their leader. And it was back when I love Bobby Vu, right? And all the things that he does for the community. But one of his ideas was having me and Bobby like host like a crazy like modding show or something else.
Yeah.
And well, we did a version of whatever it was, Mod Wars, but it was like he wanted to like get very involved in the content creation side of stuff. So there was this weird influence that was happening that I think eventually, I don't know if they were too involved in that space and didn't kind of listen to the ultimate feedback that was coming their way. So I don't have a pinpoint moment, but those are just some of the highlights for me of where it went bad.
I can tell you one thing he's doing right out of all the companies. He stays out of the limelight. Yeah. He stays, you don't see him on YouTube shows. Very, very rarely you might see him pop in a chat. But a lot of these other guys, they got themselves in so much trouble and so many problems from being on YouTube shows, being in the chat rooms constantly.
Being too familiar. Agreed. Yeah. So before we go any further, I want to bring up this comment from Cammie. Really appreciate you going to LA Comic-Con to give us an update video on Alice. Thank you very much for doing that, B. I know everybody was looking forward to that. Also got a $4.99 super chat here from our buddy Stock Jock. This show just got 63.9% better with B on. I do not disagree. And now we are one away from that goal. And if we hit that goal, Brooklyn will press forward on his controller in his game.
Yes.
Like Brooklyn, that, huh? So you're going to give them some positive, but I'm going to ask you to do something outside the norm here. Put on your critical thinking cap and think about what's a negative thing AtGames did that you think if you could go back in time, you could warn them not to do.
The whole signing in process.
Yeah.
And the firmware updates that break stuff instead of make it better. But mostly it's the signing in. Like people, I don't have an issue with this on my HD Pinball or on my Legends Ultimate because I did not like marry my games to my account. But it's like a nightmare story hearing like people can't play their games, like can't get onto their accounts. That whole sign-in process is a nightmare. It was never fixed. Brutal. I don't even sign in anymore. I gave up at this point.
Really quickly, we had a $10 super chat from B Kirby, the Chicago Arcade guy. Always so kind, always dropping channel memberships. He's probably the biggest reason I have 100 members on my channel now. Thank you so much, B Kirby. $10 super chat. We've hit our goal. And just to add insult to injury, JT Brunick says the double down greater than mute Mike and let Brooklyn Menace and B talk. So he wants me off. I don't know what to do here. Good to see you, JT.
Show, Mike.
That's my goal. Kick both of them and just leave me here by myself.
I will throw out some ideas for thought here on AtGames. So one of the big things everybody says is stop making the shitty console games. And I think they did that. They listened to that. I mean, their transition to their arcade products was very smooth. They made a very good product. Nobody can say that the product itself is bad. I mean, the AtGames Legends Ultimate, fucking awesome, solid product. The AtGames Legends Pinball originally, solid ass product. Not a lot of issues with it. Same with the, Gamer Pro. I really like it. I mean, product wise, when it comes to their arcade efforts, all very solid. Even the 4KP, as much as people are pissed off with it, it's not because of the actual product itself. I mean, the screen, the build, everything like that. A plus. Where AtGames always falls apart, in my opinion, is it's like they almost can't get out of their own way. They do all this cool stuff, but then have these ideas about overhead things. One of the big ones I think they invested very heavily in, and from what I'm told, maybe $1 million, was the cloud gaming service. They saw this as maybe a way into the future. But I mean, that cloud gaming service, ArcadeNet, is the same fucking build it was back when it was in beta. It's not really any better. They invested a fortune in it, and does anybody even use it?
No.
Like, is it something that's useful, valuable, worth it?
Remember when you used to always get like the free codes for like, I just had a ton of the games, they just had so much lag to them. It was just unplayable.
Here's the number one thing for me with AtGames. Like you said, the quality of the products and the build was good, but the number one complaint of all time was the UX and the interface to be able to use their system. From the lay person that just wants to walk up to machine and just play it, like you had to read and watch videos and tutorials and how to set everything up just to play like a single game to get into it. So they never created an interface that was welcoming. In fact, I did a work retreat randomly in the mountains and found a Legends Ultimate in the cabin in the space that we're playing at. And I was like, oh, like I know how to use this. And I literally spent 30 minutes just trying to like log in, and the controllers weren't working and syncing, and they weren't being recognized. And like, I was like, OMG, like I can't even, like, I feel like I should know how to do this being even new, but I couldn't even get into the system to even get it working. But oh, did anybody get that working? And I was like, I'm sorry. It's like a dead machine. Like they just could never get a UX that was simple enough. And I think that's their thing. If there's somehow you can go back and say, design the products, but make this simpler, I think more people would have been able to grasp onto it, and the public would have liked it more.
I don't disagree with that. They built a wonderful sandbox that's there. That's an open system for creators to go in, add games to, do whatever you want, but maybe a little bit too complex for the family-friendly environment they're trying to bring in now.
Yeah, it's not like an Arcade1Up, or even like the arcade where you turn it on, scroll to the game, and start it. But there's a lot of people out there that love to tinker, and it's pretty incredible what people have been able to do on their Legends Ultimate, through OTG. So like my friends are able to do everything. They play all their Steam games on this. They've set up Wii games on it with the light bar. So, I tried hooking an Evercade to it, but it doesn't work. You can't get the controllers.
The controllers don't work. They don't have the right input. Yeah. So, MG, getting depressing. This is getting depressing. Hey, I said what the show was. We're talking about how to save it. Got to talk about the failures. One of the things that I will really want to mention here now, too, is there was a moment where it seemed like they got mad at the community because they do all these updates and everybody gets mad about the updates because it often breaks the machine. There seems to be a failure to deliver on the update side and keeping things consistent, people getting logged out, all that stuff. But one of probably the most egregious update things was they did an update and they broke coin ops at one point. And I remember people like me putting out videos being like, hey guys, maybe don't update right away if you do coin ops because it's causing these issues. And the company took a hard line on that and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an update that allows you to remove coin ops. And they really came out swinging saying, we don't support coin ops, which was wild because they actually did support coin ops. It was a big selling point for the cabinet. And I understand that different developers work on coin ops than AtGames, but you would think there'd be some kind of, connection there to make sure that this feature that is a huge selling point to your cabinet doesn't break when you do your updates, or that you're not going to get pissed off when people ask you to take accountability for it. B.
And they recently removed like the bit pixel. It doesn't have support anymore because my friend's bit pixel broke, so he just bought a new one, and the only thing it can do is say Legends Ultimate.
Awesome.
Yeah, they called themselves like what, OCP, open and connected pinball or gaming. Like that was always their platform. So you're right that it did seem contradictory with the whole CoinOps X thing and the whole sauce builds, and like that community was what drove a lot of people to make, like the multicade more accessible. It was really, the first legit commercial multicade that kind of made it to the masses. Before that, everybody was making main machines. So at the end of the day, it introduced people to the multicade, but yeah, the login issues that you talked about, the updates that consistently broke things. I only have my Legends Micro as my pinball. It's like the only remaining like AtGames product that I still have in my house. In fact, I have like what was that like upgraded puck? Did anybody
the
ever
Legends Core Max? I still use that.
Yeah, you do? Like I bought one and I still have it. So is it worth setting up with anything? Is it?
Yeah, I have no issues with it. It's great. I don't really update it. I just turn it on, throw in my CoinOps build, and that's how I use MegaCade a lot right now. I'm switching over now and going to a Batocera build on a gaming PC I have, but that's mainly what I did with my MegaCade for a very long time. And I think CoinOps and that community, there's a lot of people are going to say that that's the big reason they jumped into the AtGame ecosystem. There's a lot of cool things they did, like the bit LCD marquee, other things like that. And there is minor hardware issues that really come from firmware issues, which is crazy. But if I had to pinpoint one, and I'll ask you guys to think about this, I think AtGame's biggest problem is communication, because they say they're going to do something, they identify something, and I don't think they have the resources a lot of times to do what they're going to say within the time period they have. And I think maybe there's an excitement to announce something really before they're ready to announce it. Like one example I'll give is the Zen Studio stuff. Like that obviously was a huge partnership, sold a absolute crap ton of 4KPs. It's been the best partnership they've done in years. But one area where I think they really hindered their sales on the 4KP, and it actually maybe set the company back a little bit at this time, was they announced that before they even knew whether or not they were going to be able to get it to work and work properly on the 4KP. So they signed the deal, announced it, and then by the time Pinball Expo ran, they had this great product that was kicking ass with Zachariah and Magic Pixel games. But when they showcased the Zen game, like it was shit. And like if they had just maybe held off from the announcement, held off from the delivery of that, I think it would have created a lot better situation for AtGames overall. I think that's mainly the one thing they could take away from this is I think instead of forcing themselves to specific deadlines for things or even promising something, I think they need to take the time, make sure it's done right, even before they announce something's coming, right? Like don't say an update's coming in a week's time. When the update's ready, say, expect to see an update tomorrow. This is what it does. And maybe don't give yourself such hard deadlines. And I think that's really what's turning most people away. It's just the unreliability with AtGames. Like when an update comes out or when a game comes out, is it going to work right away? Because they've proven themselves time over time to have some reliability issues with these things.
Yeah, communication is kind of like that big key thing. And it goes back to just if they could just simplify their communication as well. I mean, I go back to all the nod deals and sales too. Like it was just like page after page of being so
why
deep.
are you announcing there's a 15.6% discount? Like, it's so stupid.
It was very, very complicated, right? Like, it just highlight the best sales, and like, you know, like sometimes the less is more model is really what they could have used. Even when they were doing the 4KPs and they announced we're gonna have 15 limited edition skins of different things to your right, it kind of got people waiting, like, well, I want to wait and see what the other things are and not make the purchase right away. So yeah, their announcement and communication definitely was lacking.
Anything to add to that, Brooklyn?
No, I don't have any more negatives about it. Other than that, I love it.
I mean, see, too positive.
Hey, all right, I still play on the thing every day. I got the bit LCD in it. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I use my AtGames stuff a lot. I like my AtGames stuff. I don't have the same issues a lot of other people do, but I certainly share the frustration with the update stuff. I completely get where people are coming from. Now let's move over to, this is the real interesting one, and I wish I got to this sooner, but let's talk about Arcade1Up, because
all right, time to go.
No, you got to stay. You just had that interview with our buddy Rob. Arcade1Up, this is probably the most interesting company that we can talk about, because at one point it almost seemed like they were too big to fail. They were arguably the industry leader. Like, them moving kind of, you know, really enabled the other companies to really grow and become big things. They did so much in such a short time frame. It's wild that we're in a place right now where B just made a video where the title card on it is "We're Still Alive," and new competition is growing out of the weeds on something that should be so easy. So what the hell happened to Arcade1Up? I'll start with you, Brooklyn, because you've always been pretty open about, you know, whether it's a multi-cade, not a multi-cade. You kind of like everything. Why do you think Arcade1Up have become kind of a shell of their former self today?
I just think it got to the point where so many people were asking, you know, for the games that they wanted, but you just kept getting recycled every year, the same thing over and over again. You know, how many Pac-Mans can you make? I think that it was about 2 years ago when a few of you were over there and they came out with that version of Pac-Man. They perfected it at that point.
XL,
Why then put out more versions and then start like dumbing it down? You had like you made it as good as you're gonna make it, like as far as for making a 3/4 scale Pac-Man. But I think the big thing is like they don't take chances. You know what I mean? Like, and don't go, like, people are asking for Robotron, people are asking for Smash TV. I think they think of it more as, well, what is the big box store going to want to purchase and put in their stores? But like, look at what everyone's favorite stuff is: the Tron cabinet, the Dragon's Lair,
Star Wars.
You know what I mean? Like, keep doing stuff like that was like original type of controls, a different look than everything, and that everybody's going to want to have in their home arcade. But it's like, I guess that's not their bread and butter, so they just stuck to like the NBA jams and stuff. But they just they get it to where it looks great, and then they just like, okay, now let's
do it worse. Let's do it worse. So this is actually one of the reasons I decided to do this show, because you had an interview with Rob, and you know, it talked about a fabled time in the past where maybe there was an interview that may or may not have been involved in John not working there anymore. And you and Justin were kind of making jokes like that was the real turning point for Arcade1Up. And I was like, I don't know if that's 100% agree. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. Would you say that, you know, that time period where John D left Arcade is one of the things you think really hindered Arcade1Up?
Yeah, well, I think John, as polarizing as he is, still was, I would think, a voice for what Brooklyn was saying most of the masses enjoyed the most about the company, right? In terms of the titles and releases, he was a big part of a lot of those coming to fruition and design of those and making them more arcade authentic. And yes, he knew that Pac-Man pays the bills, and so that's pretty much why they had to do that every single year. But that was we're making that funny story, but just to share a little bit of context of what Mike was saying. Back, I think it was Comic-Con 2023,
Yeah.
2022, something like that. It was like 2-3 years ago already,
2023.
right?
Yeah.
2023. And it was John's last official public appearance as an Arcade1Up employee. And we did an interview with him because he was promoting then the MVC2 collaboration cabinet with Marvel, right? And so while he was there at the Star Wars booth, Rob, who I interviewed, was at the Star Wars pinball booth, and we interviewed him. And the short story was that it was our first time interviewing Rob. So Justin and I were trying to get hardball questions to him.
Justin was being sarcastic, aka cringe Justin, from what I understand.
Yeah, cringe Justin. And we asked him some hardball questions that he answered in the very kind of like what is it? As a public information officer would, right? Nothing like too crazy. But word got out, at least he had heard that it was John that asked us to say, hey, make sure you ask him hardball questions and give him a little bit of a hard time. And that internally turned into a complaint. So we've heard. But in fact, the funny story I was making a joke about was that was the year I didn't actually get my own passes to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I had to get a friend of ours some passes. So my name badge was Ernesto and Justin was Joshua. So if we had to go back in time, we would stop Ernesto and Joshua from having that interview with Rob so that but maybe it was already doomed at that point. I don't think that was a full tipping point, but it definitely, I feel like the company absolutely did change when John left.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it wouldn't have made any difference. I think that they were in trouble anyways, but I think it definitely changed things because people don't know everything John did at Arcade1Up. And obviously, as much as some people like to hate on the guy, some people are 100% right to hate on the guy. They have good reason. You can't dispute what he was able to accomplish at the company in terms of licensing and what losing John meant for their licensing abilities, both from him just being very good at it to him also being, a cutthroat son of a bitch. So if he's not working there,
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on a raw as soon as Scott left, right? Because didn't that happen before?
I can't remember the exact timing.
Yeah, but that just signaled a shift. And, any small company that starts up as a startup and then eventually gets bought out. I mean, I think that's the goal, dream for any entrepreneur, because it was such a lightning in a bottle. I don't want to say fad, but it was great timing for pandemic and Arcade1Up to go together.
It was perfect storm, right? They came up with this concept about building up your home, building dream arcades in your home. Then all of a sudden we had a pandemic. We were stuck in our home. We had additional money where we weren't going out to movies, weren't going on trips, weren't going to restaurants, bars. So people were investing in making their home more enjoyable. And wouldn't you know, Arcade1Up was right there. So I countered, I think, and I'll throw this out there for you guys to consider. I think the biggest problem with Arcade1Up and the thing that really hurt them more than anything else, and I know people will disagree with me, was their actual success. It was that lightning in a bottle, which actually ended up damaging the company so much. Like Brooklyn, you talked about, like they're just taking safe bets now. That all leads from the fact that at one point they had massive success. There was a year where they released, I think it was like 30 different arcade models in 1 year. And what happened was that released at the same time people were coming out of the pandemic. They didn't have the same level of expendable income. They didn't have the same interest in building up their home. They wanted to get outside and do things again. And Arcade1Up went hard. So they came out with 30 different models. It was at the same time they did a price raise. And then what happened was the retailers got stuck with all this stock. They had like just so many cabs that they couldn't get rid of, that then all of a sudden they were shipping them off to Ollie's to try to make room. They had all this space tied up. Even the distributors had the space tied up. So then Arcade1Up was like, Well, it's another year, just like any year. They go to the retailers and they're like, we're going to do this, this, and this. And the retailers are like, hold on now, slow down. We got all this bullshit in our warehouses that we can't get rid of. Why would we buy more from you right now?
Yeah, and the
So
main title that really reflected was, if we had to put it
Blitz.
on one title, it was Blitz. Think
Yeah.
about the amount of investment it would take to get the NFL license. Remember the Miami Arcade in the Miami Stadium? I'm pretty sure that's not still around these days. But just so much investment in there. And how I think that was a big sign of, I think within like 3 to 4 months of how much they were going on clearance. It was very quick. The Sam's Club deals that were coming out.
That was the year after. I think they were already in trouble because of the year before, so they had limited stock. So they only came out with a few titles that year, and really they were swinging through for the fences with MVC2 and Blitz. That's what really got them back in the retailers, and the retailers were already upset for the previous years. So once Blitz, didn't move quickly, those they especially those were in what are they called, club stores where inventory is everything. They were like, fuck this company, and just started gutting them right away, like no time at all.
Agree.
So I know that's not the answer everybody wants. Everybody wants terrible people at the top. They want terrible sticks. They want reissues of Pac-Man and stuff like that. But honestly, their own success and their failure to moderate the business and understand the change in the economy and the change in the times to move forward is really what ultimately sabotaged Arcade1Up. We're still seeing it now. I mean, Brooklyn, you brought up that they're doing safe things. They're only going what the retailer wants. Other people have brought up, like, we want to see more titles, but we're not getting anything new. And it still goes back to that time when they overloaded the distributors with titles they couldn't get rid of. Now everybody's gun shy to do anything with Arcade1Up because they've lost confidence in the brand and the company.
I think the last best cabinet they put out was their last gun cabinet, and B put it in the bar or something to test it.
Time Crisis? Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was because that was something different.
Yeah.
And I love light gun games. So I just like when they did unique cabinets.
Oh, go ahead.
I saw Time Crisis for the first time when I was in Toronto. We went to this new pinball bar called Antisocial. Cool ass place. It's probably the biggest pinball location in all of Canada. Lots of cool tables. The only thing that throws me off is he actually moved his Arcade1Up collection in there as well. So you're around like all these like giant pinball machines and stuff like that. And then he's got like Arcade1Up cabinets there. So I got to check out Time Crisis, and I got to say, it is a really nice looking cabinet in person. I think they did a really good job with it. Again, that price point at the beginning, I think it really made it difficult for that cab to take off like it probably should have. And it was a limited run from what I understand too.
Yeah. That was because one of the, was it Spreetail was the one that really wanted it, right?
Shop Hippo.
Yeah. Shop Hippo, that's the one. But yeah, interesting topic, man, to think about these big companies. And, there never is one single moment in time. It really is always like multiple things and failures. But if you had to do this stream, but talk about the fall of the home arcade community, I can pinpoint a handful of things that have changed the scope of content creation in this space. Do you think that's similar? Would you do something like this for what caused so many people to come and go in this space?
You could. Do you want to suggest something? I'll talk about it. I don't give a shit.
See, it never dies for me. I know home arcade is back. I just love games, so
yeah.
I just like finding old retro games, stuff from Japan I never played before. So I'm cool, man. I'm cool. My iRcade, my Legends Ultimate.
It's not my fault. It's all your fault.
I got my one Arcade1Up. Well, I have two Arcade1Ups. I have the Defender Partycade, which I would never part with, and my Atari 12-in-1, which was my first ever home arcade. So it has sentimental value, and I love that thing. I mean, once I put Glenn's controls on it, and I didn't have a clicking spinner anymore, the thing's incredible. It has a great selection of games.
I think, B, to answer your question, I think that this community got fractured a lot. And there were some people that went off in different directions, a lot of negativity brought in around the hobby, around the community, a lot of accusations. And I can't say for the viewers, I don't know how that experience went for them, but I will tell you, as a content creator or YouTuber, I prefer the term YouTuber, other people focus on content creators, the negativity in the community from certain individuals, the harassment, the factions, all that stuff. Most of us just don't give a shit about that. We don't want to be involved in that. Most of us want to make YouTube videos, talk, have fun. There was a point where I would like to have everybody on my channel, even if we had different opinions. Brooklyn, you know that. I invited a lot of people that I would never associate with nowadays, but I gave them an opportunity to come on the channel all the same. That stuff, for me, really ruined the community. Like, we get into the weeds of bullshit and people bringing up stuff about people's, it's okay to say like that person's too soft on a specific company. That's fine. But questioning people's like integrity, whether or not they're good husbands, wives, the financial decisions they make, like this stuff doesn't deserve to be on here. If this is the stuff you're fixated on, like, Jesus Christ, get a life. This is games and video games and fun. It shouldn't be about that. Would you agree with that?
The only reason why I brought it up, and I think it kind of goes with the wave of popularity of home arcades, was because there were so many different people from different backgrounds and experiences that were genuinely excited to talk about product, no matter what their expertise was, right? You didn't have to be a crazy gamer from the 80s that knew everything about something to be able to talk about product. And you were just getting, every time there was a new release, there was something exciting to be talking about. And so a wave of that, in addition to, the companies coming out with product and just new content creators continuing to come out and talk about it. Like, there was a certain time where there was just a swell of joy to be a part of the hobby. And as you mentioned, the fracturedness, some of the things, the negativity and the accusations, it really did kill, people that follow this niche community, part of the hobby for them, right? And so I think that was another somewhat downfall of people getting excited about these products, is that, to MG's point, it was a little depressing to turn on things once in a while.
I mean, I have no problem being in the middle if people want to start drama. I'm comfortable being in the middle.
We know, Brooklyn. We know.
But I don't start it. I never understood, like, if you see how far certain issues and how personal certain issues have gotten to this point, think about it. It all started maybe over a disagreement over a game or an arcade cabinet. So it's so silly of where it started to where it is, And there's always going to be, as far as on YouTube, I don't care what type of content you do, there's always going to be a little bit of YouTube, competitiveness between people. But yeah, I never understood like how you can get angry about games, or how you can say somebody that's in this community talking about this stuff doesn't really like it. When you see all this stuff behind people and you see their excitement for it, whether you like it or not, they like this stuff. And it really doesn't matter. There's always somebody out there that's going to know more than you. That doesn't mean that you don't have the right to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because that's how you learn. There's always that first day where you get into something and you learn because you're interested in it. I know a lot of people think people are just doing this for content. I don't know. I don't see why somebody would do something for so many years if they don't really enjoy it.
And in a category that arguably is probably not as popular as it once was, dying off.
This is not like you say, oh, I want to be a big YouTuber. Okay, I'm going into the home arcade. No, you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it's like Ralph, for example. Ralph, gave up on home arcade. I don't know his whole reasons and stuff, but he wanted to get into arcade. And then after he got into arcade, now he's into pinball and he's really happy. Like, no shade to him at all. Like, nobody can say he's jumping from one thing to another, because pinball is so much smaller than home arcade. If he was trying to do this to be famous or, you know, try to do something with it, he wouldn't have went into pinball, because pinball is like the most niche shit in the world.
So niche.
But
everybody can't be Justin buying LEs in their basement all the time, you know? So
I personally, I stayed out of everyone's business. I'm not in on what's going on with this company. I learn from what I hear on everybody else's shows. So I stay out of that.
That's a lie, Brooke and Mellis. I remember you holding a camera and then instigating people at the iArcade office to be able to play video games and work out their differences on camera.
Well, yeah, that might have happened. But no, I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not in any influencer group. People thought I was with Arcade. They assumed, they would say, oh, he doesn't like those games, it's just because he gets them for free. I got one game for free from Arcade the whole time they were in business, and I didn't even ask for it. I was just excited. What game was every Friday. The one with the maze game. How can I forget the name of it? It was so great too.
Escape from Popo.
It was like Wizard of War. It was the
Wizard of Walls. That is Wizard great. That was excellent. Yeah.
Excellent game.
Chill.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, but hey, if for one game for them to give me, there's no way you were shilling if you said you like that. And
hey, I really got to head out because the family's waiting for me. But it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Good to talk with everybody in the chat.
Take care, man.
See you guys later. Bye.
But yeah, it's just getting back to it. I don't understand how far some of this stuff has come and how personal it has gotten, and it's become almost impossible, especially when people want to tell you who you should watch or why were you in that chat room. I'm like, I try to say to people, look, this community is so small that if I were to say, oh, you're going to get mad at me that you see me watching this show or that show, the whole community will just implode and be over with. It's too small to start trying to play those rules and, like, you know, and telling people who they should watch and who they should not watch. I watch everybody, you know, and I don't mind if you guys all cover the same stuff, because everybody has a different point of view.
Oh, it's so wild. Like, when I don't want to go too far into this, I just want to say very quickly, Brooklyn, one thing I've always appreciated about you, no matter what was going on in the community, you always treated everybody exactly the same. You were always fair, even keeled, and you were focused on the games. And I appreciate that, because you were put in situations sometimes you shouldn't have been. And I'm very sorry that happened. So anyways, enough about that. Thanks for being an awesome guy, Brooklyn. People that aren't awesome, find Jesus or do something, like figure out your life. That's enough of this negativity. So moving on, I did want to get to the double down before we finish up, Brooklyn, and I apologize about doing this, but you got to give the people what they want.
Yes.
My goal is for that to be as abrasive as humanly possible. Dude, so
I love it when you would do stuff like that, because I know you try to play innocent, but I also know you and I have kind of similar senses, six senses of humor. When you would just play obnoxiously loud music and just keep, and everyone's telling you, like, they're trying to, like, produce your show, like, make it lower. I'm like, no, make it louder.
It's meant to be offensive. Yeah. So, Brooklyn, our topic tonight, we just talked about like 3 of these companies and mistakes they made, but we have 2 companies coming out that are now following suit. We have, of course, Basic Fun, which a lot of people are really upset about early on, mainly because they're basically an Arcade1Up clone. They're saying they're trash. No one should buy them. So we have Basic Fun, which, I mean, I don't understand why anybody's surprised. Like, these are Arcade1Up clones. If you don't like Arcade1Up, you're not going to like these. And then you have iconic, which is probably not what everybody thought it was. A lot of people thought it was mainly going to be an Arcade1Up clone, but in an XL form factor. But as things have come out, we talked about John D and his, jealousness of iArcade. It's kind of like an iArcade, but like a branded iArcade that he's actually coming out with. So I wanted to ask you first, with Basic Fun, seeing everything that's come out yet, knowing the product's not coming out yet, what mistake do you think Basic Fun has made so far, and what would you tell them not to do? First off,
don't put the Basic Fun logo on the it looks like a kid's toy logo. No, what mistakes are they making? Like, to me, it just looks like a continuation of Arcade1Up without the Arcade1Up logo on it. So I don't see an issue with it, because they're putting out some new titles. So now people will finally have something new that's going to fit in perfectly with, if they have a collection. It's going to just look like it all flows together. I don't know if that's the official design, but I thought the Ninja Turtles cabinet looked a little cheap.
Yeah.
I know people were also a little upset over the shape of the Return of the Jedi cabinet, but I don't know. I like the WrestleFest, even though it doesn't have all the wrestlers, because I think it's a smart decision, because people are not as insane as us that know about these games. I think they'll sell a lot of those to people that never even bought a home arcade and just are huge wrestling fans, and it'll probably be their first time playing the game, so they'll have no idea that there are wrestlers missing anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just go in there like man cave that with all their wrestling stuff.
Yeah, there's tons of wrestling fans that, regardless of all the information me or you or anybody else puts out there about like these wrestlers not being there, it's not going to change their minds. Like, this is probably our only crack at a WrestleFest cab, the only one that's going to make it. So you either accept it or you don't. If you want a WrestleFest cab, that's it.
Didn't everyone know that?
I made a video on it like 2 years ago saying,
yeah, I think that was pretty clear.
Yeah.
If it ever came out that it was like, how the hell are they going to get the license for all the wrestlers?
But see, this is where I think they have made a mistake. I think that they haven't been very forward with the community, or really done a lot of marketing for what they're doing. They've been very selective of what they're doing. But I think they've also created a lot of confusion. They've fell into a trap that Arcade1Up did a lot, where they'll release images and renders, and these stuff comes out maybe a little bit too early, and then it misrepresents what the product's going to be. And we've seen that with Basic Fun. Like, they've released renders of their cabinets, and then official ads go up for it, and you've got one ad that shows 12 wrestlers and another ad that shows 9 wrestlers. So you're like, what the fuck is going on? So, I mean, I would argue that a mistake they're making already that I would like to see them fix is, you have to be consistent and upfront with your information. Like, a lot of mistakes that Arcade1Up made, like those cabs where the monitors were so much worse. I mean, if they were just upfront and they said, this is this brand monitor that's going in the cabinet, instead of not telling us, or if they say, there's only 9 wrestlers, which we know now because Patrick reached out to them. But if they had consistent artwork that didn't lead people in the wrong direction, I think overall that will help with, the reliability. It'll make people, appreciate them more. Now, that's mainly in the hardcore community, but even say I'm just like a generic person. I've never watched YouTube. I'm a big wrestling fan. I love WrestleFest. I'm so excited about this cabinet. I see the early artwork and say, oh, cool, they got all 12 wrestlers. Then I buy it, and then I don't. What happens?
I think the people that are hardcore arcade fans into that game are going to want it just for the cabinet, because they already know somewhere down the line, we're going to figure this out. And I'm going to have every wrestler on there eventually, but I have the WrestleFest cabinet. But again, I still think it's a great idea, because it's something that could sell outside of like home arcade fans, just wrestling fans in general. Like, could you imagine if they ever invested into a commercial on like Raw or something like that for that thing?
Yeah, it'd do very well. Like they don't have WWE magazine anymore, but like even on the website, having like a banner ad on the side of the website, like WrestleFest now available, or have a quick ad come up during Raw, or on everything's on Netflix now. So on Netflix at some point, I think they would do very well with it. You're right about that. And I'll ask you a question. I don't know if you watch B Kong. Not a lot of people do because I find him a bit boring.
Who is
Just
that
joking,
guy?
B.
Is that
The guy
a
that was here
YouTuber?
early.
Oh,
He-
that was him?
He did an interview with Rob earlier that a lot of people are going to watch and quickly, throw away because a lot of it's really corpo speak and stuff like that. But he did say something that does ring true. Like while like me and you, or maybe just me and some other people are really upset about the new thin cabs, some of these companies can't just cater to their hardcore fans. They have to really have some thought and concept towards like what the masses are really going to want. So he talked about the Slimcades, and it's going to result in me probably never buying another Arcade1Up. But this might be something that their market research showed that outside this community, a ton of people would love to see that.
Yeah. So some people that don't have the space,
Yeah.
we heard a lot about that also in other places when we were talking about, oh, why did they make the alpha? Why didn't they go big? And they're like, you kidding me? Like nobody over here has the space for that.
Yeah, someone make a 1-for-1 recreation of the Big Blue. The hell am I going to do with that? Where's that going?
Hey, I wanted Glenn's cabinet, but the reality is like, where the hell am I going to put a 200-pound arcade?
Yeah. It gets a bit tough. Like I've had one. I've been lucky enough that I got my hands on a real Tron, and it was awesome. But like, it was a pain in the ass to move, even with wheels on it. Like it was a challenge whenever I had to move it around in that room down there. So I completely agree. So that's kind of basic fun. I worry about their consistency and their message to people. But I think really a lot of people are focused right now on saying this is going to be trash. And I think the message I'd give people is I don't think you can expect anything more than Arcade1Up. Like, I think it's going to be like Arcade1Up, and we're going to see similar titles. But the good thing from it, it's going to push people, push maybe Arcade1Up, hopefully, to work harder. Like that idea of iron sharpens iron. Maybe they're going to compete against each other. Maybe that will lead to us getting better titles. I don't know.
Yeah, when there's no competition and you only have, one option, which is what was pretty much starting to happen.
Yeah.
At this point, because everybody was going out of business. But yeah, the competition is just it helps each company try to push a little harder to get their product in front of people.
Hopefully. or Arcade1Up will fold. So we'll see.
I think basic funds would be like, hey, why the hell are we making these things so big? Let's make them thin.
Well, one area where they're smart, and I know P-Dubs did a video on it, and he talked about this might be a mistake, is all the different versions of the cab coming out at the same time. But I actually like that they saw the same need that Arcade1Up did for a slim line of cab, but they're still separating them. You can buy an Ultra or you can buy a Slim. I think that's a good deviation because not everybody wants that slim form factor because there's compromises with that, with the artwork, other things like that, kind of suck.
Yeah. To me, like I said, to me, it's just, I look at it as Arcade1Up with new titles.
Yeah.
That's it. So maybe you'll get a shot at getting what, people have been asking for. But yeah, they got to kind of stick away from stuff that has too many different characters in it that you got to get the license for.
Yeah.
But hey, look, how long have people been asking for WrestleFest, wanting that?
Always.
Yeah,
It's funny because it's the same thing as Blitz. People have always wanted Blitz, but then when Blitz came out, the demand wasn't there because they couldn't deliver the game the way that it was originally intended. So we'll see how this turns out. I hope that it's not the same situation where Basic Fun shoots themselves in the foot right away, where in order to make their return on investment, we're going to have like 18 million Blitz all hit retailers at the same time, because you know what's going to happen if that happens. Home arcade is still a viable enterprise, but with small production numbers. So if there's too many, like 70,000 of these WrestleFest, all going to hit retail at the same time, they're probably going to go on clearance pretty quickly. And that concerns me, right?
Yeah. Are these expected to be in stores? Is that like their goal, or is it going to be all online purchases?
If they're smart, I think that they will stick to online purchases, but that's where this gets tricky again, because even though the retailer isn't stuck with the package, the distributors are, right? Because it's got to be set up through a distributor somewhere. They've got to take orders and stuff like that. I think they will have them in store for the Supremes at the club stores. So that's going to be the big one.
I also think for these companies, what's a little bit more challenging, less than what it was a few years back, is that you had people in the community that got so tired of not getting what they want that you had people that stepped up and be like, well, here it is. I mean, look at what G.I. Joe is doing. I think his cabinet looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it really looks nice.
I love what G.I. Joel's doing. I wish it was available here in Canada. I also know it would cost a goddamn fortune to get it to Canada, but like, I mean, from day one, the biggest thing most people have wanted from Arcade1Up is make a Nintendo cab, and I applaud him for taking that step to make something that we probably never were going to get from anybody. It's just not going to happen.
And Glenn's product, like, you can actually just put that thing in an actual arcade with the core. It has a
Glenn won't like this, but again, if I put it in an arcade, I would expect people to walk by and be like, "Oh, what's that hideous fucking thing?" I wish.
Well, with
I know.
Glenn's, it's like the Build-A-Cade, but a full-size, real arcade-size version of it.
Yeah.
What you see now is probably not what you're going to see when people get these in their hands. I'm curious to see what people are going to turn them into, you know, and get creative, having their favorite games on it. I already have the operating system that it's running on my arcade.
Yeah.
I think if anything, that is going to be the one thing. If you're not a tinkerer, if you don't, people may run into a little bit of frustrations on that end. But if there's like a community build that's done where it's just like the best of the best games, they all work, everything's ready to go, it's going to be pretty awesome having that in your house.
Yeah, I think people who get Glenn's Build-A-Cade FU are going to be very, very happy. I agree with that completely. It's hard for me not to have personal opinions. I throw these out there and people get mad at me because they're like, "Oh, he hates the side art." Like with the Build-A-Cade, I think with the Glintendo hood, there's going to be some amazing things there, but it doesn't make me as excited. Like someone said, "Why don't you get a GRS Build-A-Cade FU and then skin it with Robotron art?" And I'm like, no, it's a completely different shape. Like it's not going to look right. Like that's my personal preference. Other people might be totally fine with it. They're like, I don't care as long as the artwork's on it. I'll throw Miss Pac-Man, whatever on it. And Billy Woods Mod's wife is going to have a stroke. Really quickly, Brooklyn. Iconic Arcade. They're going out with the extreme cabs now. I think it's pretty easy to say the biggest mistake they're making right now, or they've made so far, is their delays. Like this is nuts. And there's a rumor out there that these cabs are not going to be ready in October, that we're going to get a further delay. So what do you think their biggest mistake they made so far is? Then I'll ask you the hard question. Was it in their control anyways? So you go up.
They came out like John D came back. They came out of the gates hot with those, so people did get super excited. And then all of a sudden, everything went really quiet for a long time.
Dead silent. Yeah.
I know some people think they're never going to come out. I think they're going to come out, and I think that they're really nice looking arcade cabinets. And I like the choices, I really like the alpha design. So I think they'll come out, but yeah, that I guess that's the only thing. It's like some people have put down payments and it keeps getting pushed off. Like there'll be a lot of talk and then it will go quiet for a while. So eventually some people might get like scared and just want to get their money back.
Yeah.
I know I would have.
Fuck, January, almost 12 months on something you thought was going to be out in June. That's a tough pill to swallow, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was speculations that there was some issue there. There probably
Yeah.
was. They probably had to make some changes to things, you know.
I will throw an opinion out there with some behind the scenes knowledge that probably explain a lot of things. But Neo's Arcade News, who is very close with Iconic Arcade, says it's not a rumor. Emails coming tomorrow. They'll be starting to ship in December. So a further delay is coming for Iconic Arcade. Do with that what you will. I will say one of the probably the shittiest things that's happened with this iconic build, this whole iconic build up and the pre-order and all this stuff is this rumored cease and desist, right? And I keep saying rumored because, you can't just take what someone says to be gospel. We know that like someone that was close apparently with Iconic shared it out with people he trusted, who shared it out with people that probably shouldn't be trusted. And then it became this big controversy. People knew behind the scenes and stuff like that when not a lot of us actually knew anything. But I will say, I think it's probably pretty real. I think if you take a look at everything that's happened, it seems like it is. I know for a fact that John D finished up with Arcade1Up, and he probably got some kind of settlement with, a non-compete clause. That's a pretty normal thing, like when you're done with a company, especially if you have a settlement. But what I do know is where John D lives in California, they passed laws that basically said non-compete clauses were illegal and kind of some contradictory things. So if there's a cease and desist and it's real and it happened, which we think it did, I think it has to do with a disagreement over the validity of the non-compete clause in John D's severance package or whatever it was. That's my guess. You can say it's to do with the cabs, the build, or anything like that. I would say the most logical one is if there's a cease and desist, it was over the non-compete. That's my guess.
I would also say on delays sometimes can be a good thing, even though they suck.
Yeah.
Because it's better off getting it in its best possible, iteration than getting it early and then there's something wrong. I think one thing that John D probably has learned, especially from being around this community, the people who are really hardcore, that if you put something out, everyone's going to be, first of all, you're going to have some people that are going to be fishing for the issue because that's their content. So, but if there's something wrong with it, people are going to be very outspoken about it. So a delay could be also because of, I want to get this thing perfect before I put it out there, or as close to perfect as possible.
And 100%, it could be that. I want to say thank you very much, Jason, for gifting 10 membership. That was very kind of you. I will say with the delay thing, the other thing is people, I think, are fixating on the delay that are trying to be negative towards the product because obviously they have an issue with either John D or they don't like these products in general. But at the same time, everything was delayed due to the tariff situation. So even if there was delays caused by the cease and desist, it's not like other products weren't delayed at the same time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not like everything else was coming out and just that one product was delayed. Everything was fucked up.
Yeah. Look, as long as it comes out in its best possible form, I think the people that ordered it are going to be happy with it. I think it looks good. I'm not a big fighting game fan, so that particular thing is not for me. But I know that, there's a huge community out there that's all they want are fighting games. So, and I think that's John D's specialty. Games.
B was talking
about them. He does.
B was talking about it earlier. John D's giving the community what he wants, and I kind of snickered a little bit. And I was like, "Yeah, if you want fucking fighting games, that's what he's giving the community." Brooklyn, do you like the idea that they're coming up with a possible online store and you can add games to this? That, obviously that model from the iArcade that we saw previously is going to come back, but not exactly like the iArcade, where it's probably going to be tailored to if you have Technos cab, it's going to have Technos games. If you have a Capcom game cab, it's going to have Capcom games.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because sometimes you've had a cabinet for a while and then all of a sudden you can add a new game. It breathes new life into that cabinet because now you have something new on there to play with. If they kind of keep it to the format and not just like, okay, any game or anything that we come out with in the future, you can get that on here. If they keep it fighting games or obviously by Capcom, but if they put out another brand cabinet, you can, if we do something in the future, you can get those games. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because not everybody has the money to have a load of these and not everybody has the space, especially at this point in the game. The people that have been doing this for a while are starving for space. Usually something has to go to bring something else in at this point.
Yeah, that's the point where I'm to. I lost so much space in my home just because my family grew, things grew. So now I really only have space. I got 2 pinball machines, which I'm very fortunate to have. But I've got room for about 8 Arcade1Ups or 8 arcade cabinets like that. So in order for me to bring something in, like say for example, I get the iconic Street Fighter, something's got to go. So like, I am at that point. So I want something that's going to be something that's very memorable to me, something that brings a lot of value. So for the people that the focus is on having as many games as possible, I think that's a good thing. Neil Severa says limited space equals multicade time.
Yeah,
I've always liked to dabble with both.
So let me ask you a question: are you truly excited for these? Because these are games that have already been out, except for I guess maybe the alpha, like that. Those really, besides on Evercade alpha, those never came out in like a 3/4. Are you excited for them, or do you think you get more excited because it's something new and it's just like that natural thing, like you want to have it in front of you and be able to play it? Because it's not like you haven't played these games or probably don't have them on other cabinets.
I got a million ways to play them. Like for me, I've always liked both. I like multicades and I like the recreation cabs. I will tell you, one of the things I'm struggling with Iconic Arcade is I like that it does a little bit of both. It's a multicade while it also, because you can add extra games outside of the 14 it's going to have originally, but it does, tie into that whole recreation thing too, because we're getting this recreation of Street Fighter. I love that original Street Fighter 2 World Warrior cab. I think that's beautiful. I personally would have wanted it more authentic. I love the fact that they changed the art. If the pre-order comes back up for Street Fighter 2 and it's the same price with free shipping to Canada, I'm probably going to jump in on that one. Even though I love my Street Fighter 2 Arcade1Up Deluxe. I like the XL. I like the bigger cabs. But to be true, Brooklyn, it's really tough because what I want, I don't think any company is really going to focus on what I'm looking for now. What I'm looking for now is I want something like I've got multicades. I don't need like 50 games on a cab for me to enjoy it. I want the most accurate replicas in a 3/4 or larger scale arcade I can. For me, I was really, fingers crossed every day hearing these rumors about new wave toys because I think they would do more of what I want. I want, and this is so against what other people want. I want a Centipede with 2 games on it. It just has Centipede and just has Millipede, but everything is accurate. It has a vertical screen. It has the right cabinet shape, right cabinet art, right control panel. So what I truly, truly want, I don't think I'll get, if that makes sense.
That's where I'm a stickler, even more than the cabinet design, is the screen. I like the proper aspect ratio of my games. When they screw with it, I just can't enjoy the game. That's one thing I don't like that they're doing with some of these new cabinets, that they're actually putting a widescreen and they're just hiding it with the bezel. I don't know if it's becoming harder to source the 4:3 screens at this point. Yeah. But so I guess that's the only option. But I never understood, like, why the hell would they screw up the aspect ratio on, they did it on the 12-1. On the 12-1 on Millipede, if you move to the left, your character disappears. That was just known from the start. Like, they just didn't they they screw something up. That stuff drives me crazy. I want to play a vertical game on a vertical screen, so it's like just put them all on there, or just whatever. If it's got to have the black bars on the side, just put it in the proper aspect ratio.
Yeah, like the last Atari cab, the one with Tempest on it, I was so excited for that because I never got a 12-in-1. And I sold my Centipede and I had never regretted it so much because I got it. And like it was awesome. Like all the other Atari games worked fine on it. The cabinet looked beautiful, had great art. But when it came right down to it to play Centipede or Millipede on it, like they stretched the image and it just looked horrible. I think you know what I'm most excited for basic fun. This is going to come across as weird, but because I've never been this way. But like obviously, I'm still hopeful some of the Supremes from Basic Fun will be good. There's nothing I'm really ready to run out and buy right now. Iconic Arcade, I like even then. Iconic Arcade, I don't think is going to be exactly what I want. Like I like the idea that it can be a multi-cade too, but I want the recreations. The thing I'm most looking forward to going into this new launch of cabs is the Centipede Countercade because it actually has a vertical screen. That's like what I'm most excited about. To me, that's kind of sad. I don't know.
Something different. If it has the proper screen and it looks good, the Arcade1Up I think killed it on their little 2-player Pong.
Yeah.
I know, and the big pub table was great too, but I had the little 2-player Pong, and that thing was solid. So sometimes having those smaller form factors, they're fun if you have a nice little place to put them. Play the game that way. I thought Tempest played great on that little 2-player.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Arcade1Up.
And there's a little Tempest Basic Fun that's coming out. Also has a vertical screen, so I see people liking that one too. I was explaining to my wife the other day. I was like, "Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to buy any of these Basic Fun cabs because there's a couple things I'm disappointed by, but I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this Centipede one." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, where are you going to put it in your arcade?" And I was like, "Arcade? It's just going to be around the house. I love Centipede."
Don't you
Just put
guys
it on a
start to feel
tabletop.
like after a while, like you're just like burning your money? I know it's exciting to keep
Yes.
getting it, but it's like, you don't think for one second that you regret some of the cabinets that you got rid of because you were
Oh yeah.
excited for the new one that was coming out, and then you find out that the new one is worse than the
Yes.
one that you had. So now
That's
you want the old one back.
I do want my old Centipede back, but obviously there were things I didn't like about my Centipede that kind of made me interested in the Tempest, right? Because I was like, oh, this one's going to have a light up marquee. This one's going to have the matching riser, and it's got all the same shape. But then, the core gameplay of that original Centipede with Glenn's trackball that I had in it, ever since it's been gone, I missed it. And now I'm waiting for them to release a new cab, and you're 100% right. I've wasted so much money.
You still have your burger time?
No, I sold
Damn.
my burger time to one of my really good friends. I love that cab. I think it's beautiful, but he wanted an arcade, and I was just at that time I was out of room and we needed money, so I just
Dude,
let a lot of things go.
I see those selling for
I know.
$1,300 for that.
Oh
Crazy.
yeah, I had someone offer me $1,500 US to ship it to him, and I was like, no.
I can get over 1,000 for my Defender Partycade, and I got that
Yeah.
thing for $199 from like QVC during Christmas.
Yeah.
Years back. And I don't know why everyone loved that, and they didn't make that one anymore. So the price shot up. It became like a holy grail for Arcade1Up fans.
Things I didn't like. I thought they did a really good job of burger time under the constraints of what Arcade1Up is, but I will go back again. I mean, can you imagine New Wave Toys make like a 3/4 or full scale burger time with only one joystick right in the middle, no compromises, not an 8-way stick with a diagonal gate, like an actual 4-way stick, all the right art, everything. That's what I want. And 19K Fox said it in the comments. It's time for Mike to go real. Maybe it is, but I can't buy anything here. There's nothing here. That's the problem, right?
Honestly, I think like I go over to Real Zim's house. I've been over there a few times. He has a ton of Arcade1Ups. It looks amazing. Like
Yeah.
if you have the space, especially if you're people that love this, because some people the type of job I do, I work in different homes, and every once in a while I get into a home that has and most likely it's a Pac-Man, and it just looks like shit.
Just one, right?
Because it's not. Yeah, well, also because it's not us. Like we light these things up, like we set it up and really make it look nice because we love this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I even though none of them are 100% accurate to a real arcade, I can't put a bunch of real big dirty dingy arcades in my house. You know what I'm saying?
This one has water damage and it might have some kind of bug coming out of, but it's real.
I mean, I could, but I would have to get divorced first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never had an issue with just the 3/4. You set them up nice, you make yourself a little home arcade. I think it looks great when everything's on and all the lights are going and all the other stuff that we do around it.
Yeah, with the atmosphere, I miss my bigger room that I had when I used to be able to fit 18 Arcade1Ups in that room. That was really cool because you'd walk in that and like you'd have all the different games in their track mode. I had lights set up that were really good with the room, and then I'd always have like my 80s music or hair metal blasting like that. It was more about the atmosphere than it was about sometimes even playing the games. I love being in there. It was cool. I had a smaller space now, but I still get that same feeling when I go in there. I got 5 on one wall, 3, and then 2 pinball machines on the other wall, and it's awesome, right?
Mike, is it just me, or have you ever been to parties where all the you're out there, all the dads are showing off pictures of their kids and talking about this, and then I go up, I'm like, this is my home arcade. They're like, oh, that's nice.
You want to know what's funny? I was just in business meetings in Alberta, and I'm sitting there with like doctors and these other professionals, and like they sat down and they thought they were gonna have a sensible dinner, and I was like, nope, we're not doing that. So, anyways, I started talking to the girl, and I bring up, like, Chris brings up my colleague. He brings up, yeah, sometimes we go on work meetings and Mike's got all these arcades behind him. And I was like, yeah, I do YouTube. Then the girl brings up, she goes, yeah, my husband's like a famous Twitcher. So then we start talking about that. And I bring up pictures of like the claw machine I just got for my kids. And then I show off my pinball machine. I am totally that guy. And in the worst situation,
calm down.
The claw machine is awesome. I don't give a shit what anybody says. My kids love it. It works great.
Yeah, it's good for the ambiance. I would never get that thing though.
Well, if you don't have kids, like I
do have kids.
Understand. If you don't have really young kids that are going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I guess my son would enjoy it at his age. But he's not like a little kid anymore.
Yeah, well, my daughter, huge on the claw machines.
Yeah.
My son loved it, right? It's great for kids. Like, if an adult asked me, do I need to buy this? I'd be like, God, no. What a stupid thing. But my kids love it.
I would just fill all the balls with different types of weed and get a surprise every day.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Anyways, Brooklyn, I won't keep you any longer. We almost went 2 hours here. Thank you so much for making yourself available tonight, especially under such short notice. I know it wasn't much of advanced notice, but this was fun, man. I especially liked our iArcade conversation in the beginning. B came in, made some things fun, and I kept you as long as I possibly could. So thank you very much.
Yeah, always fun, Mike. Mike's a real good guy. I don't care what anyone says about him. He's always been super nice to me and super helpful too. Like, real good guy.
You're just saying that because I hooked you up with that key mailer thing.
Saying that because we made the goal.
Yeah, I made the goal.
Made the double down. Yeah, Mike's good people, man. Really good.
I try. Brooklyn, where can people see you? What do you do? Tell them all about it. If they don't already know you, they should, but tell them all about it.
I have a channel called Brooklyn Menace, which most people wouldn't associate with being video games and arcade. I got to change the name, Mike, because everyone knows me. They like Brooklyn. So it's like, why do I, maybe change it to keep the menace part, but like maybe gaming menace, or I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out. Eventually I'm going to change the channel name. But when, I used to do a lot of live shows, but it was eating into what I really enjoy is just playing the game. So that's what I'm doing a lot of now. I was doing a lot of VR. I could be on the Switch too. I could be playing an arcade game. It could be on my PS5. I have everything. I love it all, and I need to have it all. I'm big physical collector, especially like modern retro games and shoot 'em up. So I put on a game, it's in there, and I want to get to the next one. The only way I'm going to do that is if I beat this one. So
I do like that, because I'm kind of like that too. I always talk about my backlog, and I refuse to jump into a new game until I get something out of the way first. So I like that about you.
yeah.
I also kind of laugh because I know that you're a big physical collector. So I'll see a game coming up. I'm like, oh man, Brooklyn's going to enjoy that when he gets that in like 2 years from limited run.
Yeah, I was looking at like what's not delivered yet. I probably have like 40 games eventually that are going to show up. Yeah, I have a ton, and I'm a big Evercade collector. I love playing Evercade. Really enjoy that. I have every cartridge, every limited edition version of the VS, all the handhelds. And every once in a while, I'll go downstairs, pop in the 2 latest cartridges and just play through all the games live.
And you probably do much better than I do, especially in Tomb Raider.
Well, what you do better is you put yourself on the stream. Like I don't mind doing that when I'm up here in the home arcade because I got the YouTube studio. But for me to be on camera, these lights are so freaking bright.
Yeah.
That it just takes away from, trying to concentrate on the game while you're being blinded.
It's challenging, especially like for games. Like I've played games that I'm actually pretty good at, which, believe it or not, there are some. And like while you're on with all the lights and like trying to answer questions and stuff, it's a completely different experience. Like I've beat some of the hardest NES games of all time, but yet trying to replicate that on stream, never can do it. Not in a million years. The other thing I really like about you, Brooklyn, is I know how much of a perfectionist you are with this. Like I love when you talk about like if you're playing a VR game and like you're so worried, you're like, I really want to do the game justice. Like I want to make sure that people don't think that the game is running choppy just because my stream is choppy and stuff like that. That's the other thing I really appreciate you. Like you don't just do this to get through it. You actually really want to showcase the game. You want to make sure people are aware of how good the game is. Like nothing is just here it is. Like you really focus to make sure people are aware of the quality of the game. And that's always your main focus.
I will constantly upgrade stuff. Recently just went to the best graphics card Elgato puts out because once I got the Switch 2, I could not put HDR out to my TV if I didn't have a capture card that can also put the HDR out. It would just turn it off. And I was like, well, there's no way I'm giving up seeing this game in its best form so I could stream it. I just keep trying to push the envelope to get the best quality on everything. With the PS5 I do the TTS so I can interact with people, and I invested a lot into a headset that has one of the best microphones that you can get on a headset to, because I don't have my condenser mic down there. So I got a headset that has a condenser mic in it.
Yeah, when you said you don't do it up here, I never noticed. Like your volume and your voice and the way you sound is the exact same when you respond when you're playing like Rune Factory or whatever it is.
Yeah, up here right now is my regular Switch, and I have the from Jay from Gamer Fridge. He sent me over a graphics card that is built right into the computer. It has 4 inputs, so I can have 4 HDMIs going in and do all kinds of fancy stuff with it.
Nice.
But up here, I could do a lot of that. But again, when I'm up here, then I do stuff through XSplit, and I'll be on the camera while I'm playing, and I put fancy stuff on the screen, like people's chats will come up. But downstairs, I'm going right through the console, and my thing is just getting the best quality. So I have a gaming PC down there to stream things through XSplit. And I like being on the PS5 because I can actually have a conversation with people. On the Switch, I can't do that. So I just hang out in the chat room, just stare at a screen and, say hi.
Anyways, guys. Yeah. Anyways, guys, do me a favor. Go check out Brooklyn Menace. Go check out B2. He's making a return to YouTube, but Brooklyn stayed the longest, so he gets most of the attention. So thank you very much, Brooklyn.
9 away from a milestone. That's not a big milestone for you, Mike, but for me it is. I've been doing this a long time. I'm 9 subs away from hitting the 2K subscriber.
Oh yeah. Guys, everybody do me a personal favor, go subscribe to him. All that stuff is relative, man. Like whether or not it's a big milestone for me or you just gotta fucking do it.
And I put out I'm an editor, so I do put out edited videos. You can see a lot of recent stuff with people I meet up from with the home arcade community. I was with Ritual Dello, my buddy Gregory, other fans of my channel and your guys' channel that come out when they know I'm somewhere. They come out to hang out and stuff. So I put out edited videos when I go to a lot of events.
And Gregory, people know him as Muse to Death. Ritual Dello, most people know him as Rotundo. And sometimes with Zim too. And Zim is one of the best of us. So good group of guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next Monday. This has been Chill and Chat with Michael B. and Brooklyn Menace. See you guys. Now, if I can remember where everything is. Did I upload? No, I did not upload my end video. Oh, I did.